Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this video. So you may be wondering, how do we connect Arabic letters? Well, you've come to the right place. In this video we will learn how to connect Arabic letters. In previous videos we've covered the letters' names and we've also covered the sounds that they make. And in this video we will learn how to read and write the letters. So let's begin. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah, amma ba'd. This is the last video in which we learn how to connect the Arabic letters. So far we've covered from alif to kaf. So alif, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kha, dal, dhal, ra, za, sin, shin, sad, dad, ta, dha, ain, ghain, fa, qaf, kaf. Today we will finish off the rest of the letters inshallah, which are lam to ya. So lam, mim, noon, waw, ha, hamza and ya. So let's dive right into it. We start with the letter lam. As you know, lam by itself, when it's alone, looks like this. When it's at the beginning of the word, it's exactly the same. Goes like this, except for the connecting line will be a little bit longer so it can connect to whatever is after it. Similarly, once it's in the middle, we will have the connecting line to connect it to whatever is before it. And then we will have the lam and then the extended connecting line to connect it to whatever is after. If you've been following this series, you should hopefully know by now that when it's at the end, it would be a simple case of drawing the connecting line and then just drawing the letter as it is when it's in its alone state. After lam we have noon. So noon looks like this when it's alone, as you know. Noon takes the same shape as ba, ta and tha, except it has one dot on the top. So at the beginning of a word, as we said, takes the same shape as ba, ta and tha. It has one line and then just the connecting line to connect it to whatever is after it, and then one dot on the top. Likewise, just like ba, ta and tha, as we've covered in previous videos, when it's in the middle, it will have the connecting line to join it to whatever is before it, then the noon itself, and then the connecting line to connect to whatever is after it, and of course we cannot forget the dot at the top. Likewise, when it's at the end, it will just have the connecting line and then the noon as it is when it's in its alone form. Simple, right? And now we have the ha. So when ha is by itself, as you know, it just looks like this. So when it's at the beginning of a word, it takes this exact same shape, except it will stick out a little bit to give space for the connecting line to join it to whatever letter is after. Likewise, when it's in the middle, it will have the connecting line before it to connect to whatever is before it. And then we just draw the ha and add a connecting line to connect to whatever is after. But the end shape of ha, so when ha is at the end of a word, it takes a different shape. It takes the connecting line as usual to connect to whatever's before it. Then it goes like this. So just remember that at the end, ha takes this form. I'll draw it again to give an example. It's just a straight line to connect to whatever's before it, sticks up, and then just has a little arch, little curve. Sometimes the ha can also look like this, just a simple circle, but we will cover that in future videos, inshallah. So please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, as it helps keep this channel going, and you should receive a notification when the video is released, inshallah. And now we have wow. As you know, wow when it's alone looks like this. I'll put a cross next to it. See if you can remember why. I'll give you a second or two to think about it. Time's up. Throughout this series I've been putting a cross next to the naughty letters. Those are the letters that don't join with what's before them, right? So far we've had alif, dal, dhal, ra and za. These letters connect to whatever's before them, but they don't connect to whatever's after them. Wow is one of these. So give yourself a pat on the back and let me know in the comment section if you got that right. So when wow is at the beginning of the word, it will just take the same form as it does when it's alone. And that's because it will not have a connecting line to connect it to anything after it, because it does not connect, as it is a naughty letter. So that means when wow is at the middle of the word, it will have a connecting line to connect it to whatever's before it, and then it will just have the wow once again as it is when it is alone, because it does not join to whatever is after it. Likewise, when it's at the end, it takes the exact same form as it does when it's in the middle. It will take the connecting line to join it to whatever's before it, and then we will just have the wow itself, and it will not have anything to connect to because it's at the end of a word, right? Doesn't connect to whatever's after it it only connects to whatever is before it. And now we move on to ya. As you know, ya looks like this, and then it has 2 dots on the bottom. So at the beginning of a word, ya takes the exact same form as ba, ta, tha, and noon. So it's just a straight line and then a connecting line to connect it to whatever's after it, and then 2 dots at the bottom. Likewise, when ya is in the middle of a word, it takes the same shape as ba, ta, tha, and noon. So it has the connecting line to connect it to whatever's before it, and then the ya itself, and the connecting line to connect to whatever's after it, and of course 2 dots at the bottom. When ya comes at the end of the word, it's just the connecting line and then the ya itself, and of course the 2 dots. Sometimes it can come without the 2 dots, and this is a purely grammatical thing. We don't need to delve too much into it right now. All you need to know is that this shape is only used for ya. So now you may be wondering, where is Hamza? So that's what we're going to take a look at now. So as you know, when Hamza is by itself, it looks like this. But when Hamza is part of a word, it always needs a chair. And the chair of Hamza is always either going to be an alif, a waw, or a ya. So whenever alif is part of a word, it will always be on top of a alif, waw, or ya. So that means the way that the Hamza will be used at the beginning, middle, or end of a word depends on whether its chair is alif, waw, or ya. So if its chair is alif, then at the beginning of a word, it will take the same form as alif. At the middle of a word, it will take the same form as alif, and at the end of the word, it will take the same form as alif. Likewise, if the chair of Hamza is a waw, then at the beginning of a word, it will take the same form as waw. At the end of a word, at the middle of the word, it will take the same form as waw, and at the end of the word, it will take the same form as waw. And the same with the ya. If it's at the beginning of the word, it will take the same form as ya. Middle, it will take the same form as ya, and end, it will take the same form as ya. Let's look at a practical example to drill that in. Now we will see what Hamza looks like at the beginning, middle, and end of words. So this is B for beginning, M for middle, and E for end. So if Hamza is using alif as its chair at the beginning of a word, it will take the exact same form as alif at the beginning of a word. However, of course, it must have a Hamza on top. When it's at the middle of a word, we mentioned that alif is a naughty letter, right? It connects to whatever is before it. So that's why we'll have the connecting line, but it doesn't connect to whatever is after. And then it will have the Hamza on the top. And of course it will have no connecting line because it's a naughty letter. It doesn't connect to whatever is after it. Likewise, if a Hamza is at the end of the word and it's taking alif as its chair, then it will have the connecting line to connect to whatever is before it. Then it will just have a alif with a Hamza on the top. So this is what Hamza looks like at the beginning, middle, and end of a word if it's using alif as its chair. If it's using waw as its chair, at the beginning of a word, it will be simply just a waw. And we mentioned that waw does not connect to whatever's after it because it's a naughty letter. So it will just be by itself with a Hamza on the top. Once again, if it's at the middle of a word, it will have the connecting line to connect to whatever's before it, and then it will have the waw, but it will not connect to what's after because waw is a naughty letter. And then we simply just put a Hamza on top. And it's exactly the same when it's at the end. It has a connecting line to join to whatever's before it, but it will not join to whatever's after it. And then we just put the Hamza on top. And the exact same applies when Hamza is using ya as its chair. It takes the exact same beginning form as ya, straight line, and then it connects to whatever's after it. However, it will not have the 2 dots at the bottom. We just put the Hamza on top. So this is what Hamza looks like when it's at the beginning of a word using ya as its chair. Likewise, when it's in the middle, it will have the connecting line connecting to whatever's before it. It will have the ya itself and then just the connecting line connecting to whatever's after. You'll have a Hamza on the top, but no 2 dots at the bottom. Likewise, when it's at the end, it will have the connecting line to connect to whatever's before it, and then you will just have the ya shape. It won't take 2 dots at the bottom, and it will just take a Hamza on the top. I actually finished recording the video, and then whilst I was watching it back, I realized I forgot to put the meme. So leave me a comment if any of you guys noticed that I forgot the meme, but we'll do that now. I'm only human, right? So by itself, meme looks like this, as you should already be familiar. When meme is at the beginning of a word, it looks like it keeps the little circle, but it won't dip down. Instead, you will get the connecting line to connect it to whatever is after it. Likewise, when it's in the middle, it will have the little connecting line, and then it will have the circle itself, and then it will connect to whatever is after it. And when meme is at the end of a word, it simply just takes the connecting line to connect it to whatever's before it, and then it just takes the same form as it does when it's alone. So it's just a little circle, and then it goes down. And with that, alhamdulillah, we've covered what every single Arabic letter looks like when it's by itself. We've also covered what it looks like when it's at the beginning of a word, what it looks like when it's at the middle of a word, and what it looks like when it's at the end of a word. I hope you've taken some benefit from this. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. It costs you nothing, but it means the world to me. But that's it from me. Take care, and I'll see you on the other side, inshallah. Ma'as salama.